together to make sure that our audience isn't confused, right? So we talked about the shaping. If you make that shaping super clear, then the audience is going to be able to follow you. But also, as Professor Reagan is saying, that I think your pedal could be a little bit more careful. So you mentioned these as bass notes, right? Okay. And can we hold all of them, right? This is what we call finger pedal. Can we hold this E while we play that G? I'm gonna say that we probably can, right? That's a big stretch, right? Yeah, exactly. That's even a big stretch for me, and I've got big hands. Now, when we can, I think you can help out your foot by holding some of those notes with your finger. See what I mean? So that one in particular, we can do a little what we call finger pedal, right? Thinking of that one, definitely this one, right? Okay, can you try the left hand by itself there? Without pedal, just so we can really. Exactly. That's right. Yep. Let's see what we can do with the next one. Tough to do hands separately. Right? There are a lot of opportunities. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, good. I would practice hands separately, by the way. Amelia, if you're left-handed, if you can play the left hand alone from memory, this whole piece, really beautifully to make everybody think that it's a piece just for the left hand, then your right hand's going to feel much more supported. All right? So that would be a really good way to practice. Okay, so with that in mind, with those little finger pedals in mind, can you lighten the load on your foot just a little bit so we can hear some of the details of the right lighten it towards the end of those beats so that we can, try it. A little bit. Yeah, so the foot's fluttering. That's awesome, Amelia. That's awesome. That is really awesome. Okay. A lot of people, let me tell you, play this piece with a lot of pedal because their fingers cannot do what your fingers are doing. You gotta show those fingers off. Okay. Yes, exactly. Okay. So you don't have to do that. Your fingers are playing beautifully. You're playing beautiful legato. You're showing the shapes. It's excellent. So all we need from the pedal is just to sustain a little bit of those bass notes. And again, you don't need to do it on every bass note, but a little, just that foot should be really active. Never all the way down, not really all the way up. It's always kind of in the middle. Okay. So if your foot is moving a lot, that means you're pedaling really well. Okay. Can we try that for a longer stretch? Let's go. I actually want to hear this whole first page with that pedal. Set the standard that your pedaling is just to sustain those bass notes, then you can use the pedal as an expressive tool. So where was it where we finally get a turning point? I wrote a star there. Where was our magic note? Right there. When you get the E flat, what's the character change? It goes from being a little bit opening up and maybe a little bit warmer. So you can use the pedal to help you do that. I would maybe use a little bit more pedal actually. Right here. Right there, I got a little blurry, but it's okay because we want the sound to open up, we want it to blossom, and so that pedal kind of creates that natural shape. So right there, I think a full pedal for each of the bass notes, and then as it comes down, you can go back to that more articulate sound, okay? So, and we can only do that with the pedal, use it as a tool, if you establish that we don't need it. So let's try from right here. So kind of cold at first. Yep, go ahead. And then warm up here with the pedal. Yeah. And then go back to the right way. Exactly. Yep. And what I really like is that this part right here, I like that with a little bit more clarity, just to kind of feel can we go from here one more time? Because we have the same thing twice. I'd like to hear you do something differently the second time. Chopin has an idea, right? Forte piano. That's Chopin's marking, right? And we can interpret that just louder and softer. But if we really try to get inside his mind, he's looking, what would be a better way of thinking than just louder and softer? We can think about it a few other ways. What's the first one doing? If it's louder, it's speaking to everyone, right? What's the softer one doing? Speaking to yourself or kind of turning inward, looking inside. So I really like this time. You focus on a slightly different point in the measure. You focused on that. The phrase. This one you kind of went all the way to the top, and then you can, and then this one you emphasize a different part, right? That makes it sound a little more tender, a little more inside. So we're using those forte and piano dynamics to interpret a mood, a difference in the mood. That's what I really like. Can you bring that out even more? So go to the top of the first one. Chopin writes a long pedal marking. What's the one issue, but something we need to keep in mind when we look at Chopin's pedal markings? Chopin has to do with the piano Chopin was playing. Was he playing on a piano like this? No, he wasn't, right? The pianos back then were very different. And so when you held the pedal down, by Chopin's time, the pedal was getting pretty good, but it still didn't sustain the amount that this one does, right? If you hold a note out, it sustains a long time. So I think Chopin's looking for probably something, not a full pedal there. So I like that you're kind of changing it a little bit. I would just make sure this stays a little clearer. Not so blurry. And one thing that's going to help is if you follow his wrists, so don't hold this with your hand. But you can let the pedal last a little longer so this sustains. But then we hear it kind of fade out. That's the right idea. Good. Can we just go back to this before top one more time? I'd love to hear you give that another try. Pretend that the audience has never heard this piece before. All right, that's always a good way to play a piece, right? Like you're showing it to them for the very first time. Okay, stand up for a second. So when I look at this, I see two measures that are exactly the same. I want to do something different the second time, right? So I'm going to use that opportunity to bring out the thing, that left hand thing. So the first time I want you to play it as it comes. Like people have never heard this before. Here's the right hand. And then the second time it happens, we've heard it, so that's when you can bring out a little extra detail. That would be really nice. Okay, so it feels like you're just coming up with it on the spot. That would be awesome. Okay, let's go back. Oh, right here.